what I wanted to talk about was, inevitably a new Tekken, a new Soul Calibur, whatever new games come out, inevitably this kind of discussion happens, and it's guest characters. I made a video talking about this, just kind of like a retrospective on guest characters in fighting games over the years. If you want to check that video, it's one of the better ones I made, I think, on this channel. This conversation inevitably happens every time a new title that has a precedent for doing that kind of thing pops up, and especially with Tekken, right? Tekken 7 obviously kind of pushed that thing over the edge with its DLC roster. Akuma, obviously, super noteworthy. Geese, obviously, that reveal was incredible, maybe even one of the best of all time. And then you had that incredible reveal followed up with Noctis and Negan. The point is, something I wanted to emphasize with this is, do you need a guest character every time? And when I think about other games that don't necessarily, do this in a super strict way, I don't think I do. For me, for it to feel good, for it to feel like a good like collab or something like that, you don't necessarily need to give me a character every time. I mean, shit. So Street Fighter 6, for example, recently they did this Ninja Turtles collab, and it's cool. They had the battle hub painted with turtle stuff and all kind of like graffiti and shit on the walls and stuff like that. They had costumes come out for your characters and that kind of thing. Then they have like some music or stuff in the battle hub as well. Like, dude, did you ever think you would get a day where you have Shinkiro drawing fucking Leonardo and Donatello like this? Yeah, Street Fighter's getting a Spy Family collab now too. I saw the artwork for that. It's good for getting stuff like this out, but if I can be, kind of a little critical, how did this collab not result in a stage or something like that? To me, when I think about guest characters, and this is something I want you guys to think about, and I'll talk to you guys in the comments about it. When you talk about guest characters or collabs or anything like that, I don't necessarily need a character, but if I have something in the game that can kind of like make it feel good, like a stage and some music at the very least, then that, honestly, that's bare minimum. I'm happy. Obviously the Soul Calibur series is like built on, the backbone of it is built on this, right? Especially ever since 2, I think, which was the most iconic. Where you had Heihachi, Link, Spawn. That was a crazy one, right? But they've kind of been consistent with it. You remember Soul Calibur 4, even they had the Star Wars, like the stage, they had 3 characters. 2 of them broke the game when they came out, And it's kind of unfortunate that the guest character dialogue kind of precedes the like legacy characters now. Like before we get all the Tekken characters, people are already like, can we get Kiryu in the game? That's kind of messed up. But it's also kind of to be expected after 7 with the way Akuma and Geese kind of like broke the doors off on that thing. This has always kind of been a thing, I think, with the competitive players too, is you can't deny that when games like KI have done it, or MK, or Tekken, or Calibur, whatever the case may be, there is an impact on the, obviously it's not always all like to varying degrees, but they are useful and they can be good for what that goal is, and that's to bring in different followings and different fan bases into the fold, into that game, right? So I just wanted to point out this too, like this series, right? How many stages are there with no character representation on the roster? And it's fine. And I'm not like telling it's not like I have to tell Harada this or anything like that. But I just want to kind of put my hand up and say, I, for one, if you just give me a stage and some music, I'm happy. Another example, this game, when this game came out, I was mashing on in an arcade just because other, weebs were in the arcade playing it when I couldn't play what I wanted to play. I saw this. I knew more stages in the game just because it was from Sega. Then I knew characters on the character select roster. But like, look at this. There's a Sonic the Hedgehog stage in a fighting game for no reason, So with that, I want to make my plea. Can we get a Xenosaga stage and some music? I don't need Cosmos in the game as a playable character, but on some boomer shit. This is my only chance, right? Lord, when else am I gonna get an opportunity? Soul Calibur? Not likely. Bro, can we please get a Xenosaga stage with some music? They can make some crazy shit, have some like Gnosis fight in the background or some shit. Do what you gotta do. But I'm really just looking for an excuse to have a Jurica, or like, man, you gotta remember, think about all the IPs that Bandai Namco has access to. Think about this. Just go down the list. And it's not like they're ignorant to it either, right? Ace Combat, Dark Souls. That's gotta happen, right? You gotta think like it would make more sense for Soul Calibur for there to be character or something like that. But there's no reason they can't have a stage. Look at all these IPs that they have access to. And it's, again, I don't have to sit there and tell them this, because you know why? What was one of the most memorable DLCs or additions to Tekken 7? You're listening to it. banger ass track. And this is what I'm talking about, man. This song, this stage, when it came out, this shit was hitting. And the thing is, they know, but they had to remove it too. This came out for the Pac-Man anniversary, and again, to me, it's more like, not necessarily do I need a character, but if it's just an excuse to leverage some old IP, and look, I'm coming here, dude, obviously, there is not a ton of people. Xenosaga couldn't even get a modern re-release support. That's how low the popularity was. This is an IP that Bamco has access to, right? So I'm just shooting my shot, man. I'm not expecting anybody else to ride with me on this. If it's an opportunity for Taku Inoue or a Jericho or some of the other contributors to the sound and the music that these games have, if it's an opportunity for them to get their hands on some of these IPs and just throw some remixes on there in a fighting game, I'm all about it, man. You know, to be honest with you. You know, I get that there's a hesitancy, right? You don't want to force something like this. It's kind of awkward when guest characters are kind of 50-50. This is a conclusion I came to in my video. If it's forced, it feels very awkward and can even be off-putting. But man, when I look at like how Smash does it, there's some characters that aren't even on the roster that have stages where you just like, it's an excuse just to put some music in the game, you know, or just to try something interesting for a stage. I don't know. That's just something I thought about, but I want to put it on you guys. You know, obviously with Tekken 8 coming out, there's a lot of discussion on like what character is going to be in the game. We have the Tekken World Tour Final in New Orleans in January, which I am super excited for. You know, obviously what I want the most is I want Tekken characters in Tekken. I want, especially like the legacy characters. If a character breaks a game, you know, that's gonna have a reflection on the gameplay at high level, low level, all that stuff. But a stage, some music, you know, like you could just have fun with it. But like I said, for me, I typically want to see more of the legacy characters because I like seeing how they redesign them or update their designs in newer for the newer title. But this conversation is inevitable. It's just how it is now. OG Tekken heads, y'all gotta hold that shit. For you guys at home, when it comes to like some of the modern titles, are there any like obvious crossovers, collabs, or that you would want that aren't necessarily a character, but something that you think could add something to the respective game you're talking about? Let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna holler at y'all later.